Hello, this is Amber Archer, and I'm going to cover critical paradigm and apply the theories to the film Barbie. Now, I think it's important that we do a brief overview of the film. And this film takes place in Barbie Land, and it's a feminist paradise where women dominate everything and have all the positional and social power until something weird happens that causes disarray, challenges all social norms, and flips the scripts of the gender roles in Barbie Land. And we really see how they overcome the conflict of gender and sexual norms. And we're also going to apply the theories to the film and why both theories give us a better understanding and application. Now, conflict theory recognizes the existence of opposing forces and imbalance of resources. And these resources include economic wealth, political power, and social status. And the three principles of the conflict theory that I will focus on is going to be the micro and macro levels. Macro level is the conflict between classes of a society and the competition for resources. Micro level is a conflict within family and relationships. Now, conflict is the opposition, either physical or verbal, over resources between two people or a group. And it can only end when a mutual understanding is agreed upon or one person or group has given up. As well as we're going to cover assertion and aggression. Assertion is being proactive and advocating for one's rights and position, but not at the expense of others. While aggression, on the other hand, is at the expense of others, using power to get others to do things that are advantageous to the one person. Now, if we apply macro and the micro level with the conflict theory, we see that at the macro level in Barbie Land and the real world, there's quite a collision between these both worlds. And in Barbie Land, Barbies are at the top of the pyramid where they hold all the social status and political power. Where in the real world, it's very patriarchal, where men are at the top and are running everything. CEOs of companies, strong, fit, and we'll see that throughout the film. At the micro level, Barbie and Ken kind of have a weird relationship. And there's a lot of frustrations from Ken on how Barbie doesn't give him the attention that he's really wanting. And he's really upset when Barbie doesn't even invite him to accompany her to the real world. And he kind of gets poked fun of by the other Barbies. And right at 8 minutes, the narrator actually has a great quote on there that really outlines the conflict at the macro level and micro level. So Barbie has a great day every day, but Ken only has a great day if Barbie looks at him. This kind of really shows the positional and the social differences between a Barbie and a Ken, and then also the conflict within the relationship. Now, if we apply the assertion and the aggression with the conflict theory, I think Barbie on the assertion side does a great job with expressing her concerns verbally and does not use harsh words or body language to get her point across. And she really advocates for Barbie Land just through empowerment. While Ken, on the other hand, really expresses his frustrations with Barbie throughout the movie. Overt resentment, his body language, his words, the self-loathing. And he's very jealous when Barbie talks to another Ken, or when any Ken, for that matter, gets jealous when a Barbie talks to the other one. And so much goes on that it actually, the Kens want to go to war with each other over their jealousy. And then also the forced establishment of Kendom. So when Ken comes back from the real world, he has all of these ideas and theories of what a man should be. And when he brings it back, he tries to establish this new dominance. And then there's a scene in there that really is very aggressive, where Ken really tries to drive home his point that he is higher on the pyramid now than Barbie, and starts yelling at her and throwing all of her clothes out of her house. And then as well, towards the end of the movie, all the Barbies are, serving the Kens, rubbing their feet, bringing them beer. And it just kind of aligns with that type of behavior. And then additionally, the radio plays, Ken's favorite song and has the words of, I want to push you around and I will, and I will. And that just really aligns with that aggressive behavior. Now, if conflict is the opposition of that's physical or verbal over resources between two people or groups, in the movie Barbie, the conflict between Ken and her has to do with positional and social power. And Ken struggles with his desire to feel wanted, valued, and appreciated. And it only increases after the real world experiences and desire to flip the gender roles in Barbie Land and create his Kendom. And Barbie's really only ever known the social and positional power of Barbie Land. So she's also struggling with this new idea that's being presented in the group. But like with any conflict, the resolution comes where Ken realizes that there's more to his identity than being just with Barbie. And the president, Barbie, suggests Barbie Land can exist with both Kens. Now, as we switch gears here to the second part of the critical paradigm and we focus on the family feminism theory, the three principles out of that is going to be sex and gender, categorization, and privilege. Now, sex is assigned at birth based on a person's biological and physical characteristics. Gender, on the other hand, are behaviors and roles based on societal expectation of a person's sex. Categorization is the implication that certain behaviors or roles are applied to a specific gender, such as girls play with dolls and boys play with dinosaurs. Privilege. It's a social status given to someone that has more power or value. As we dive deeper into the sex and gender idea, and sex is based off the biological characteristic, it's really difficult and almost even impossible to assign male or female to Ken or Barbie because they do not have genital or reproductive organs. However, we can kind of align them into the gender side of it, where Barbie equals feminine and identifies as woman, and Ken is masculine and identifies as male. Now, I think this film did a great job on breaking the societal norms in Barbie Land, where although she wears the traditional like feminine colors of pink and purple and dresses and is perfect in appearance, she's also in a land where women rule. They have high positional powers and serve in the Supreme Court and as president, doctors and scholars, and they don't need a Ken. Versus in Barbie Land, Ken, he's just an accessory to Barbie and needs a Barbie to feel complete. And there's a power struggle with the introduction of the real world patriarchy. Now, categorization is the implication that certain behaviors or roles are applied to a specific gender. So in the real world, males, these are words that, and scenes that we were able to identify as like strong, they work out, they're powerful, there's prestige, there's lifted trucks, there's bosses, CEOs of companies. Versus in Barbie Land, some of the certain behaviors and roles that are applied to these genders, like while yes, there's that stereotypical Barbie of perfect hair, makeup, clothes, and nails, etc., where they're cosmetically perfect, there's also an expectation that women hold the powerful positions of this president and Supreme Court and doctors, etc. Now, privilege is based off of power and value. I think there's a very glaring difference in Barbie Land of Barbie and Ken and males and females in the real world. So in Barbie Land, Barbies have all the power, economic, positional, and social. Kens don't even have a job or a purpose other than accompanying their Barbie. They quote unquote beach. In the real world, women are objectified. It's run by men, and it's even acknowledged there's a hidden patriarchal going on there. And this quote, right about the 58-minute mark, Ken describes how the real world was. And he says that basically everything exists to expand and elevate the presence of men. And that really highlights the power and value that men are perceived to have in the real world. And as we close this out, and if we apply the conflict theory, it really allows us to have a greater understanding of the positional and social power struggles and inequalities related to gender and identity by comparing the tension in the Barbie Land norms to the real world norms. And applying the family feminism theory allows us to understand the conscious and unconscious bias and limitations we, self and society, have based on one's physical appearance. And if we apply both of these, it allows us to understand the biases in social expectations are self-inflicted and keeps one group or person in power over the other. And the movie Barbie shows the conflict and tension of the Barbies and Kens as they challenge the patriarchal norms and try to assert or force their own independence and self-empowerment. And also how they all can coexist and find balance. And I like the two quotes that I think really kind of tie these together. And that's, by giving voice to the cognitive dissonance required to be a woman under the patriarchy, you robbed it of its power. So that's how they were able to overcome it and put the male dominance in Barbie land kind of in check. But I think they do also a great job of stating, the president closes it out and she says, I don't think we need to go back to the way that things were. No Barbie or Ken should be living in the shadows. And this really kind of shows how both the conflict and the family feminism theory can kind of come together and find some cohesion.